Welcome to Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversation that includes respect for opinions, facts, and diversity. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys and Rada Paint.
Welcome to Spokane Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese. On today's episode, Eric Wolfram of Ed 101 sits down with Michelle Grove of New ESD 101 and plays with dominoes for a STEM-related activity that parents can do with their kids. Next up, Youth Spotlight. Brady Magruder sits down with Ricky Brown, Gonzaga Prep student and Eagle Scout. He is one of very few that have received all merit badges available. And then, Business Talks with Kurt Stockwell of Well Dressed Walrus, discussing the human side of marketing.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
And welcome to Education 101. I'm your host, Eric Wolfram. Today we're going to be talking about how you can do STEM at home. And with me, I've got Michelle Grove. Michelle is an elementary science coordinator at ESD 101. STEM at home, Michelle, talk to us.
All right. Well, your first question might be, what is STEM?
What is STEM?
All right. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And sometimes that sounds like a really big, scary, complicated thing to talk about with little kids or to try and take on yourself as a parent. I mean, we teach them to count. We help teach them to read, but STEM at home. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today were just some really simple things you can do, even with the youngest learners. Really, kids of all ages and adults can sort of get involved with STEM. And a really fun way to do that at home with something you might just have around would be with dominoes.
Excellent.
All right. So
we've got those.
We do. We have some dominoes. And one of the things that I really love as a teacher, as a parent, asking kids questions. If you start,
it's a key piece.
Absolutely. You start with two basic questions. What do you notice and what do you wonder? And you can look at patterns in your yard or in your kitchen or in dominoes. And if you just ask those two questions, you're well on your way to helping them become scientists and engineers.
Right.
So
simple questions.
Absolutely. So with a child, I might ask something very simple like, can you stack the dominoes so that they all fall down when you push one?
Right.
And I started with that. You might ask them, what do you notice when you push those dominoes? What do you wonder? You might go another step and say, Eric, how do you think we could change that so that the last domino stays up when you push it?
Do I get to do this?
Go for it.
Okay. So honestly, I mean, what I think is, for me, this would be the last one. So if I move this a little bit away, that might keep the last one there.
Sure.
Or I could angle it. Can I try it?
Go for it.
Okay.
That's okay. What did you notice, though?
I noticed that this third one slid. So even though it may not have been all the way, far enough apart from one another, the way I moved them, it still slid. So that knocked that fourth one down.
Exactly. So you could continue on with other questions. Things like, what would happen if you took one out? Or what would happen if you lined them up closer together? Or maybe in a shape.
Snake, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, let's take a quick break and maybe we can play around with those a little bit. So let's take a break and let's hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to see more about STEM at STEM at home.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
And welcome back to Education 101. We are stemming it at home. And so, Michelle,
All right.
before the break, I got to knock down some dominoes. So we got a new setup.
We did. And the question I asked before the break was, can you make a shape? And so now we've got a horseshoe. Eric, can you test it out to see if our design works? Will it knock those dominoes down?
Absolutely. I think it might. I think we may
do you
miss a
need to move?
couple,
Okay.
but let's see here. Oh, we left one. I left one.
I would wonder why. Why did that one domino not fall down?
I would I would too. Like,
Well,
come on. But
and the
I
great-
think it's that, that piece, again, some part of the sliding of the table might be part of it.
Right. So I might wonder what would happen if we did that on the carpet. And
Oh, that's a good
so
question.
There's never a right or wrong answer. It's just open-ended. And that's one of the really fun things with kids. You can ask, can you predict what's going to happen? Can you draw it ahead of time? That's another thing that you could do.
And maybe get different results. How might you get different results might be a question as well,
Exactly.
carpet versus the table. So
Yes.
those kinds of things. So those are some of those deeper type questions. What are some of the other things if I wanted to take this with my son at home and go deeper with it?
All right. Deeper or bigger, those are kind of the
That's
ways
right.
we can go. That's right. Broader or deeper. And one of the things you can do is you can look up online. There are tons and tons of videos of really complex STEM challenges.
Right.
And especially as kids get a little bit more dexterity, you can look at trying to have them replicate some of those really cool designs
Ooh,
and
that could be
challenge
fun.
themselves to figure out what those parameters are for them to make it happen.
Right.
So, yeah.
What are the really big ones called? Where a bunch of different things happen. Is it Rube something?
Rube Goldberg
Yeah,
machine.
Rube Goldberg
Yes,
machine.
That's
Those
a great
kinds of things
vocabulary
as well
word.
as I
yes.
think about it.
Well, and speaking of vocabulary, that's another thing. A lot of times we wonder, how would we use science words with little guys? And it's actually a really natural thing. Even talking about something like pushes and pulls, which this is the perfect example.
You bet.
Those are science words if you're 4 or 5 years old. Those are those are right in line with our kindergarten science standards, in fact. And so that's something that even as a parent you can definitely do at home. with
Definitely
kids.
go through. Well, and I think it's so important to be able to start from an educator's point of view, an education point of view, to be able to start working with our kids at a young age. And I think these are the types of activities that definitely give us that opportunity to think about how do we work with science with our kids at home.
Exactly.
Michelle, thank you for being here,
bet.
and looking forward to seeing everybody on Education 101.
That's right.
Thanks.
Go have fun.
Next up, Eagle Scout, Ricky Brown.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spokane Talks Youth Spotlight. I'm your host, Brady Magruder, and I am here with one legend of a man. He's the man in the tan uniform, Ricky Brown. How you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
you.
Congratulations. It's an honor to have you here, good sir. So you are here because of one of the most outstanding achievements possible to achieve before you're 18 years old.
Yeah. Well, I'm 18 now, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, I got it before I turned 18. And I'm a Boy Scout, Troop 431. And I got every single merit badge, all 137 of them, and it's a ride. It was a ride.
And so that makes you one of less than 400 in the entire country, in the entire history of Boy Scouts.
Yep.
For all 108 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And so if you take a look right here, you can see that he not only just has one sash, but he has not only two sashes, but three sashes filled with all of these merit badges, and every single one, this is the maximum amount of merit badges that you can earn possible at this point.
Yeah. It's 137, and I'm done. It's crazy.
So you finished your last one right before your 18th birthday, right?
3 days on November 17th. I turned 18 on November 20th, and it was at a STEM merit badge university, kind of merit badge clinic, and bugling was my last merit badge that I earned, and I was cutting it really close. It was a super hard merit badge. I actually had to start learning how to bugle 3 years ago when I was 14, and
wow,
and I've just been working really hard at it since.
And so since you've been working on that one for 3 years, and you've probably got a lot during that time, so you've had to multitask too.
Yeah, definitely multitasking. You learn how to juggle merit badges when you're trying to get them all. One big thing that Scouts has taught me is multitasking.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And it's just been crazy. I am happy I got this, and I would balance 10 merit badges at a time.
Right, and how would you balance that also with school and your day-to-day life?
Yeah, school, ski coaching, jobs like lifeguarding, play practice and rehearsals and everything. I get home at 6 o'clock, and I'd be like, well, I have to work on homework and merit badges now. And,
yeah. That is incredibly busy. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the greatest of all of the merit badges, your favorites, the hardest of them all. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll come right back.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Brady Magruder, your host, and we're here with Ricky Brown, the 137 Merit Badge owner of the Boy Scouts. And so, why don't you talk a little bit about your favorite and the best experiences that you've had with the Merit Badges, and which ones are your favorite?
Definitely, I would probably say that scuba diving is my favorite Merit Badge of all time because, being underwater for 30 minutes at a time, 60 feet deep is awesome. It's unlike anything you ever experience, and
wow,
that's just one of the many experiences that scouting has, provided for me. Another great one is search and rescue. I show a high interest of, being a search and rescue person, or actually firefighting, but that totally got me into it. See what else? Oh, winter sports. I like winter sports just because I'm a big time skier.
Same here.
It's home with me. Yeah.
Oh
Awesome.
Yeah. I love to ski. I'm so excited for this season.
Oh yeah, it's doing pretty well right now. But back to it. Welding, definitely.
Welding.
One of the definitely coolest was welding. I learned how to, put metal together and use wire feed to adhere to pieces of metal, and it was pretty awesome.
That's great. And so besides bugling, which you said was about one of your toughest, what was another really, really tough one that you really struggled with achieving?
Programming, definitely, because that's right there. It's definitely the toughest one I had to do because I'm not a computer whiz. And when you do a lot of merit badges, you're going to discover things you're good at and some things that you're just not good at. And understanding computers, how it worked, that took me a while to do.
For sure.
Yeah, and so I teamed up with one of my friends from my scout troop, and he's a computer whiz. He's a tech nerd.
Yeah.
And
so that probably helped a lot.
He totally helped me. Totally helped me understand everything, and we had to run 3 different programming systems, and in 3 different programming languages. Just
Yeah,
was
that
a
must
lot
have
of knowledge.
that must have been tough. But I like what you said about how, you know, when you do all of these achievements, you learn what you like about yourself, what you don't, what you're good at, and what you're not. And so that's absolutely incredible. Well, congratulations for that. It was wonderful to have you on the show. And so and just make sure that, you know, tell yourself that you can do it and you will, just like you have.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you and have a great day. Catch you on the flippity flop.
Next up, business talks and the human side of marketing.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome to the show. I'm Ryan McNeese. This is Business Talks, and we're here in the studio with Kurt Stockwell, Well Dressed Walrus. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
What we're going to talk about today, and we're actually going to talk about in an ongoing series, is the human side of marketing. It's a new podcast that you've created. Tell us what Well Dressed Walrus is. Unique name, and tell us what the human side of marketing is.
Well Dressed Walrus is a website design and development company. We create digital assets, digital marketing assets for businesses, mostly focusing on web design and website hosting. Just recently, we've unpacked more value for our customers by helping them find clarity in their marketing. And the reality is, in this current marketplace, is most businesses waste an enormous amount of money on marketing that just does not work.
Well, Kurt, I think as you just said, at the very first of what Well Dressed Walrus does, that's what people think they have to have. The website,
Right.
the brochure, they're going to have some sort of message, but whether that message is clear above the noise of all other marketing, I believe that's the value added you're talking
Exactly.
about.
So the human side of marketing is just a passionate look at what can you do to connect with your customers on a deeper level. We all are in sales. If you are in the business world or you're working for a nonprofit or whatever you're doing, you are in sales. You are selling your product or you're selling your brand. How can you connect with your customers in a deeper level? We are all in the business of solving a problem. If you don't understand what problem you solve for your customer, you are likely losing in the marketplace.
Well, and I think we've discussed this historically, that oftentimes a business looks inward and says, well, this is what my client will want to hear from me, rather than what's the problem the client actually has.
Right.
How do you communicate even with the client that that's what they need?
Well, we like to remind people that businesses sell products to solve external problems, and people buy products to solve internal problems. So we as business owners sometimes are so close to our business that we think the problem that we're solving is one thing, but in reality, it's solving a deeper problem. And when you can connect with somebody on a deeper, more emotional level, not only will you sell more products, these customers will become repeat customers, but they will talk about your brand. They will talk about your marketing. When you can have somebody talking about what you do, that's free marketing, and that's the best kind of marketing. If I was going to buy a product, in most cases, I'm going to ask my friends and family, what do you think about this or that, or what have you used?
And they want to share that information.
And they want to share that
if it was a good
information.
experience.
If it was a good experience. So what we're passionate about is finding clarity. And when we find clarity in what you already do, it's likely your product's not broken, but your message is.
It's maybe an easy statement to make, but tough to do. Let's take a short break and come back and talk to Kurt Stockwell, Well Dressed Walrus. Welcome back to Business Talks. Ryan McNeese here in the studio with Kurt Stockwell, talking about ongoing marketing issues. Thanks again for joining us. Tell us and unpack the fundamental marketing concepts.
I believe that there's 3 C's in marketing, and it's clarity, content, and consistency. And they have to be unpacked and understood in that order. Now, when you think about content, so that's your marketing content, that's your online or offline marketing. That could be your website, that could be a trifold brochure, that could be,
So that's visual and verbiage, the whole thing.
Yeah. The consistency, that's the stuff that you're doing on social media. People throwing out, different posts in social media or maybe even online ads, things like that. There's the one piece, the clarity, that I feel like many businesses not necessarily avoid, but skip.
Potentially don't recognize.
Yeah. You can't have good content unless you have clarity. And you can't have good consistency unless you have clarity and content. So it's a path that three-part path, clarity, content, consistency, is so important in marketing. And what we like to do is help businesses find that clarity so they can do those other pieces of their marketing. When you don't have clarity and you're trying to produce content and you're trying to be consistent, it can be like, pushing a boulder uphill. You can just feel like this marketing doesn't work.
Right.
Maybe something's wrong with my product. Social media, this or that is just not for me. But the reality is, it is. In this current marketplace where we do have all of these avenues to do our marketing, it does work. But where most people miss is they don't take the time to understand the clarity on how they connect with their customer.
Right. Well, and if they forget one of those respective elements, it's kind of that old adage about art. You know it when you see it,
right,
when it's good, but you also know it when you see it when it doesn't resonate.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what do you see as a potential challenge and or opportunity at Well Dressed Walrus in this industry?
I think that it's never been easier to do marketing. In 2018, we're coming on to 2019 here. It's never been easier because you have a computer in your pocket. You can connect with your customers, sitting and waiting at the doctor's office, and send out a message on social media. So it's never been easier to do marketing.
But not easy to be good at it.
But it's not easy to be good at it.
That's why they need Well Dressed Walrus.
That's why we need the human side of marketing.
Thank you for joining me, and this will be an ongoing series, The Human Side of Marketing. Thank you.
Cindy Haval is a freelance columnist and correspondent for The Spokesman Review and author of War Bonds, Love Stories from the Greatest Generation. The view from her porch is usually sunny.
I'm a huge proponent of natural childbirth classes. The breathing exercises you learn in them can help you in all kinds of situations besides childbirth. For instance, Lamaze breathing helped me endure an excruciating experience at the grocery store. It began when the cashier needed to change the register tape. No biggie, but the cashier, whom I shall call Dante, was obviously not feeling well. Pale and haggard, his sad brown eyes were puffy and red-rimmed. He sniffled as he fumbled with the register tape. When he finally got it installed, he mumbled, "Sorry, gotta do a cash drop." While my ice cream pooled on the conveyor belt, he laboriously began counting through a large stack of bills. That's when I employed the first Lamaze breathing technique. Drawing a deep lung of air through my nose, I slowly blew it out of my mouth. Just as I began to fill my lungs for the second time, Dante commenced coughing. He racked. He hacked. He coughed like Camille dying of consumption. After a juicy sneeze, he tackled my grocery cart. He grabbed a case of root beer and flipped and spun it around multiple times, trying to find the UPC code. And then he attacked my produce. Pausing frequently to wipe his dripping nose, he fondled my fruit with unseemly familiarity. I wanted to say, "Stop! Use a tissue. Use hand sanitizer." Instead, I resumed my Lamaze breathing. When my cart was finally emptied, I drew a shaky cleansing breath and swiped my debit card. That's when Dante decided to take care of his nose. He pulled a gray, crusty handkerchief out of his pocket and blew into it with gusto. He blew so long and so hard, I thought one of us was going to pass out. Finally, he folded his hanky and put it back in his pocket and handed me my receipt with the same hand. "Have a nice day," he said. "See you next time." "Next time," I said, "I want an epidural." And that's the view from my front porch.
Thanks for joining us this week on Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversation. Please join us next week.
Spokane Talks is about you. Give us your feedback and comments at info@SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys and Rada Paint. We'll be back next week with additional news, views, and conversations. Please join us. So long for now.